now that 7'9" former Gator Olivier Rioux has put himself in the transfer portal about a month ago, and now he has announced that he's going to be playing for UC Irvine Anteaters, a very intimidating name. I have Kevin Brockway here. He's the beat writer for the Gainesville Sun, also the USA Today. He's very close to Olivier Rioux. He has had access. He's an insider. How do I know that? Because when we were exchanging emails, he told me, who do you want to talk about, Ollie? I don't call him Ollie. I don't have, you paid your dues. But just one programming note before we get into Ollie. I did it. We're going to be announcing the final 4 destinations that were on Olivier Rioux's list, and you will be surprised about that. We'll do that near the end of the show. But let's get right into it. Tell us about the journey you had with Olivier. How did it start?
Well, it's interesting. I actually had a connection, somebody that I knew at IMG Academy that was involved with the coaches there, and she actually set up an interview with one of his coaches. His name escapes me. I can look it up. But going back then, it was interesting because Ollie actually, UC Irvine was on his radar coming out of high school.
I know.
But he was kind of, dead set on wanting to go to Florida. And he didn't mind being a preferred walk-on. He wanted to come here. He wanted to, pay his dues and work. And obviously, because of his size and being the world's tallest teen, Guinness Book of World Record, he immediately became a fan favorite. And there was this immediate curiosity of, he's 7'9", and can he be a dominant player? But I had people on the inside that warned me, he needed a lot of work and maybe would have been better served to start at a lower level. But he came here as a walk-on. He enjoyed his experience. He didn't play as a true freshman, but I remember during the national championship celebrations, or every time they either won a regional or when they won the SEC tournament, he would cut the net. He wouldn't even need a ladder. He could just go. He could just go and cut the net. So he became kind of, obviously a viral sensation for that. And fans would chant his name going all the way back to his first year on campus. But Todd wanted to redshirt him, and Todd wanted to, have another year to work with him to see if he could get better. And then this year, he got in a few games. Certainly in some late game situations, and you could still see the lateral quickness wasn't quite there. Todd Golden demands his big guys to do a lot in terms of going out and switching on defense, on guards, on the perimeter. You probably saw that video of Ruben Chinyelu doing that against Alabama in an SEC game during the season. It was amazing how quick he was with his feet. Ollie didn't have that level of quickness, obviously, or the ability to get up and down the floor. But he did at times, scored a few baskets, and when he did, it created an uproar from the crowds here at the O'Connell Center. They just loved it, And look, the O'Connell Center, the students and the home fans, they tend to latch onto the walk-ons at the end of the game anyway. But when you have a walk-on that's 7'9", it's even more interesting. And I think he became a fan favorite because of that, and was always an affable guy around campus too. Always was willing to get his picture taken with people. Always, didn't shy away from the fact that he was that big. I could remember, 30 years ago, the late Dwayne Shinsis, who played at Florida, who was another 7+ footer. He was very awkward, didn't handle it the same way, didn't like the attention of being that big. Ollie was a guy that embraced it. He embraced the size. He embraced, meeting people because of that and being a conversation piece. It didn't bother him to do that. So I think in that respect, he was very well liked by the fan base. But I think he kind of realized after a second year, and particularly with certainly all the big guys coming back for Florida, Alex Conning, Tommy Houck, Ruben Chinyelu is still testing the NBA waters at this point, but there's a feeling that he's going to come back too. He just wasn't going to get the playing time. And to go to a place like UC Irvine now, with a few years of, certainly experiencing some high major practices, maybe that'll help him, and maybe that will give him confidence going to UC Irvine and continuing to develop that way.
I don't see a better fit after I researched UC Irvine than them, and it's all because of Russell Turner, the head coach, and he's had a storied career. We'll get into that a little bit too. But so you probably weren't surprised when he went to the portal. You were pretty sure he was going to UC Irvine. I had a podcast and I predicted Purdue. I had a source. I lost, but people take guesses. Coaches,
it's interesting. I'm sorry to interrupt there, but
no, not at all.
I spent some time in Indiana, covering both the Hoosiers and the Boilermakers, and I saw what Matt Painter did with 7-footers, and there was always this thought of could he work his magic with Ollie the way he did with Zach Edey or Will Berg recently, and some other guys. I mean, Matt Harms. He's had a history of working with 7-footers. But again, I think Ollie, I think that it's you have to have a level of athleticism to play at the power forward level, which he doesn't have at this point, and I don't know if he's ever going to get, because I think with some guys, as someone that big, 7'9", the coordination is really hard. And we see Victor Wembanyama, who's 7'6", right? And it's amazing some of the things that he can do on the court. But Ollie just doesn't have that ability, and maybe he'll find it in the next couple of years, and Todd will look back and regret it, but I just don't see it at this point in his career.
Well, I would defer to your opinion, but I was of that opinion on my last podcast, and after researching UC Irvine, mainly because of the coach, I think he will have a chance. And his best work, Ollie, was during his high school years at IMG. I saw a video of it, and he looked like he moved pretty well. I know it wasn't the same competition, but there were some flashes there, and his first basket was a little bit rough. He missed the first two. I must have been really nervous, but I think he might have a chance. So how was it when you first met him? You found out, it wasn't a surprise, or you knew you were?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was interesting, when you first meet him and you first talk to him, and we had a chance to talk to him a lot, during Florida's NCAA tournament run last year, because it's the open locker room, and he's got that kind of Andre the Giant kind of voice where it's like,
Yes.
Because he's such a big guy. And, I think that, but very, his first year, I think he was a lot more nervous than he was the second year. And this year he was a little more comfortable in his own skin in terms of doing interviews and talking to people, and being approachable. Whereas, I think he was, I think it took a year to kind of find himself in regards to that, but then he became this very affable personality around campus that people loved him because of that. But again, I think the game, as far as his game is concerned, you would like to see a guy like that crash the boards a little harder, and I think that at times he was tentative doing that. The one thing I noticed in Canada there was a video over the summer when he was playing for the U18 Canadian team.
Yeah.
One area where you could really deploy him, I think, and I was surprised Todd didn't do this, but on inbound plays,
Really?
because of his wingspan, he altered and forced a turnover that way in the U18 in the Canada tournament. I saw him do that, but that would be something. They actually experimented. The football team experimented with him trying to block field goals.
Oh, really?
In the indoor facility. But it didn't go well. But a video surfaced of that as well, which was interesting because they thought the size and the wingspan. So there's a lot of fascination, with that size and with that length of the potential there. But it's got to, come together for him, and the coordination and being able to, obviously move side to side and run the court consistently up and down the court. That's the areas.
Yeah.
And he'll get that opportunity at UC Irvine, I think, to grow and develop in that way.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. I went into a big research mode with all the reasons for lateral quickness and his high center of gravity and all those things, not being able to reach a ball that's close to him because of difficulties. Once you hit 7'9", that's a really tough thing to. I know it's the most, but 7'6" is usually the problem. But now we're starting to hear some stories about 7'6" players, even on UC Irvine, and a former pro on the Wizards. Do you remember that?
Well, you and I both can remember Manu Bowl, right?
Oh yeah,
Taco Fall was what 7'7", right? He
yeah,
was another guy, and he played at UCF here and played for the Boston Celtics. And the one thing about the NBA we know is that they're forever obsessed with size, like Chuck Nevitt, right? You go back to
yeah.
that, and I remember when I was a student at the University of Miami, you had Constantine Popa. He was 7'3". He was a really
That's
big
right.
guy, and
I
it took
remember.
him
I'm in Miami now, so
a little while to develop, but by his sophomore year, he kind of made an impact a little bit in the Big East, and I think he had a cup of coffee in the league with the Clippers. So they'll find a spot to you if you're big enough. So if Ollie develops, I mean, you never know, because the league is always obsessed with how big you are.
yeah. And his priorities, from what I'm seeing, are he has three priorities: playing time, and playing time. Actually, development and vision for how he would be used were also things that he's looking to do. And he's very serious, and his agent is very serious about this. Who I've got a lot of information. There's a Canadian writer. He writes in French, and he seems to know the agent well. So I picked up a bunch of nuggets that weren't in a lot of the mainstream media. So we'll be covering that. But has a media blackout right now. Why is that? You must know something about that. Why would he have a media blackout?
I would think at this point, he just wants to focus on the task at hand, which is, transition to a new school, right? For one thing, you're going across the country. And I think he just wants to go to work and try to improve and try to get better. And, different players probably have different philosophies on that, but maybe he's of the mind that he wants his total focus, his total attention on off-season development, on getting better, and not talking to the press. And, I would think that that's, some players do that, and sometimes they think it works for them. Other players certainly can, I would say, walk and chew gum at the same time, right?
Yeah.
But different people are different, wired that way differently. Like, I remember the first time I tried to talk to Billy Donovan on a game day, and he looked at you like he gave you that cross look, like his focus was totally. Whereas Todd Golden, you could walk up to him 20 minutes before the game and have a conversation with him. So there's so many people. People are wired differently, and I think with Ollie, maybe that's the way he's wired, and he just wants his total focus to be on his off-season game and his off-season development.
Dan Hurley was not approachable when I went there. I met the assistant coach at the time, and he's like, "Are you kidding me?" He's got all kinds of rituals that he's doing before a game. He's very superstitious too, so no access to that. I asked anyway, but like I was saying, Russell Turner, he is very experienced in making 7 somethings into either great players or serviceable players. And this guy, did you know that he coached Tim Duncan at Wake Forest? And
how about that?
Yeah, so his background, and this is how he learned, and he's all about big. That's his strategy. Some coaches have different ways about them and concentrate on other things, but that's what he believes is the way to go, is to take. So every team has had 7-footers, and he was also at Stanford. Stanford's known for their big guys, big front courts, big power forwards. And then Golden State is really where he earned his chops. And that's where he learned some of the physical conditioning that might be helpful for Olivier. So that's going to be a big part in what he does in there. But so some of the resume of bigs, they've won a lot with him. I know the Big West isn't the Big East, but he's got 8 conference titles. Last year, they won another one. They had a phenomenal record, and then they lost in the Hawaii in the tournament, and they had to go to the NIT. He's lost 3 really good players this year. One of them is someone that he developed, and his name is Kyle Evans. So I'm getting all this information. I joined the board for UC Irvine Anteaters, and I wasn't sure if they thought he was just going to be a gimmick or he has a chance. And it was overwhelming me that they know so much about the coach Russell that he has the ability to turn Olivier Rioux into a functional basketball player, and they're all excited about it, which is sounds a little bit crazy, but I'm happy for them. I hope they don't get disappointed if it doesn't work out, but he has his best chance, I believe, and he has, and the coach has taken some other players there. Kyle Evans was a great player. Then he's had a 7'6" guy who, what a name, Mamadou NDI. He played for them.
Yeah.
You know him? I had no idea who he was.
2000, I just looked this up. 2013, 2016. Yeah, and obviously familiar with UC Irvine in the Big West because they've won a number of Big West titles, as you mentioned.
Yes.
632 winning percentage, multiple Big West titles. 32-7. Great name, the Anteaters, which you got to love that. But I think that we used to have, it's funny. We had a group of sports writers. Pete Thamel was in this. Pat Forty, a group of sports writers that I knew. We used to do a thing. We called it the Jerome, and it was named after, it was named after Bill Rafferty. Send it in, Jerome. And we used to predict, do a pool, not for money per se, although side bets were encouraged, but we would predict all the conference tournament winners from every conference in Division I. And so UC Irvine was always kind of on my bingo card for the Big West because, they traditionally had pretty strong programs. So, UC Irvine is obviously a program that's traditionally had success in the Big West with Russell Turner. And, you wish Holly well. He's going to be moving to another part of the country. The California, Southern California is a lot different than Gainesville, Florida.
Yeah.
So he'll have to adjust to that too. And then hopefully, educationally, all his credits transfer over. I know Florida's a really strong school, and then you can go there and focus on playing basketball. You have a coach that commits playing time to him, and he'll see. But I don't know how much up tempo Russell Turner runs, but if he does,
not a lot.
That's going to be going to be the big obstacle for Ollie is tempo. I think that's kind of the biggest.
Yeah,
he's got to get used to playing with some tempo, and if he can do that and develop that in the next couple of years, then the sky's the limit. And who knows, if he has a good year next year, maybe Florida will want him back in the transfer portal and offer him an NIL package to come back. Yeah,
I could see Olivier. He got an agent. I covered him very early on, and it wasn't viral, but it was about 70,000 views about 2 or 3 years ago. And now I'm seeing him in Instagram with Shaq, that definitely went viral, and other ways they're monetizing. And what was the deal with that $3 million? Was that true that he was requesting $3 million? Did you hear about that? That was part of the.
I think that was. I saw that, and then I thought it was some kind of parody account or something like that.
Okay.
But and I think I kind of got duped because I retweeted it, and somebody said, "No, take it down." I mean, that would be, to me, that would be somewhat, given his production at this point, would be somewhat surprising. But I think UC Irvine plus they don't have that kind of money to offer him. But I think right now Olivier would settle for the opportunity, playing time, play at a lower level, prove that he can be productive at that level, and then hope that catches the attention of a Power 4 team and makes his money. Maybe, and maybe Matt Painter will see something in UC Irvine and bring him to Purdue. You never know.
Even if it's the ability to play functionally in a Division One school
Yeah.
and be part of a rotation or just playing the right way, which he doesn't seem like he has that ability at the moment. But if he works on the physical conditioning that Russell does and all the other things, there's a few other guys besides. There was Josh Howard. Russell was with Jason, Jaron Collins, Josh Childress. I mean, it was just so many. But let's go over to the. Do you know the Final Four, including UC Irvine destinations? Were you?
No, I did not know, but you
Yeah.
can fill me in.
Do you
Let me
have
know if
any? You want to guess them, or should I just
do
throw
I
them at you?
do I want to guess them? Because you said Purdue. Do you think were they really in the mix or no?
I was wrong. I went to a Reddit board, and that's the only thing we had. I don't see how a lot of people wouldn't have known that, especially since UC Irvine, like you said, was recruiting him at IMG and the FIBA. So I had no idea. I have no knowledge of UC Irvine, but
Were there any schools in native Canada that were recruiting him or no?
oh no, but I've already been driving people crazy waiting. They're gonna think that I'm trying to get time on the YouTube because you make more money when you have more time watched. But here they are:
Okay.
Pacific,
Okay.
Townsend, and San Diego State.
San Diego State's interesting. I mean, that was a program that
Yeah,
was in the NCAA finals a couple of years ago.
Townsend I just saw in the ESPN tournament, and they've had a pretty good year too.
See, Todd Golden has a lot of connections, obviously in the West Coast. I mean, coach in San Diego,
It's true,
from
yeah.
Arizona. So he has relationships with different coaches where if a player does enter the transfer portal and there's no ill will or animosity, he will help land players there. I believe he has a relationship with UC Irvine's coach, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to remember.
Now with Ollie, he's the type of guy. What's his work ethic like? Without putting you on the spot, is he just a gym rat or is he somewhere in between? He may become
I mean,
one.
it's hard to say. I mean, I think that I think he wants to work. And, you watch him practice, and he wants to put in the extra work. And I've seen him, before the game, do the mic and drills, and try to get better and spend time, honing his skills.
Here's some of the things that might work. He's still early in his development. He's barely 20. That's young.
Yeah,
He has a chance to play meaningful minutes. He can start building real habits. Even in limited action, his presence changes because his opponents are not the same talent level. And it alters spacing for the team, forces adjustments. So there's some things, but there's a lot that he needs to work on. Did you hear the tallest team? I'll give you the numbers of this now, as I think this is really interesting. It started with Mamadou at 7'6". He was the center. Power forward was 7'2". His name is impossible to pronounce. And the shortest player in the group was 6'8" Sean Ray. And they were the biggest of all time. But they didn't play against, they played against a exhibition game against a poor team. So it was more of a gimmick than anything else in that. But that's just the way this guy is doing it. And I'm going to give him a good look. I'm really rooting hard for him. Couldn't figure out if they would be good this year. I do know they lost 3 strong players to the portal. They have a 7-footer already whose averages about 1.2 points a game, a little more than Ollie was. But I asked them a few minutes ago how they would be, all my new friends, the Anteater board. And they said on paper the team should be good, but it's still way too early in the offseason to determine when the team will be good. Should everyone be healthy by October, then I think we'll have one of the best front courts out there. The backcourt should be good. There's a lot of youth developing chemistry when practicing. begins will be the key. Something I think was not consistent last season from practices to finish. So I'm sure he'll be able to round up some transfer portal guys. I wasn't able to get that, but you know better than me. You've been in position to win some money by picking them. Are you going to pick them again? You see?
We'll see. I'll just have to check, and it just depends on certainly how their season is going, because we usually make those predictions in late February before that starts. So
how close were you to Ollie? Were you was it strictly a business type of relationship, or that he must know you by first name?
Yeah, no, and I saw him. I remember once he came back on a flight from Montreal. I was coming back from a football game, and he was on a flight, and we were very cordial, and it was very fascinating to see a 7'9" guy in a fuselage of an airplane, and this was a smaller jet because it was kind of a regional jet going from Atlanta back to Gainesville, Florida. And we chatted for a little bit, but I wouldn't say necessarily we were best buds or anything. I've been closer to certain players, and access at Florida sometimes, particularly not during the postseason, can be a little tricky. But he was always very nice and respectful to me, for sure. I would say that certainly a guy like Tommy Houck, a little better because he's a star player.
Yeah,
he's probably a little more affable than Ali. But I wish him well. It's unfortunately it didn't work out here for him. But who knows? It's like I said, it's fascinating because Denzel Aberdeen left for a year. He went to Kentucky, and now he's trying to come back. And if he gets the fifth year, he's going to be back. So. And Todd said in this instance, I don't hold grudges. So if Ollie has a good year and he wants to come back, I think the door will always be open for him to come back to Florida.
Oh, yeah. Were you at the game when he scored his first point?
Oh, yeah.
How loud was that?
Pandemonium. Yeah, pandemonium for sure. It was an eruption, one of the loudest moments of the season, which, is saying something. He was just a guy that the fans adored, and really enjoyed watching him. And you always heard the chants, even the year before. But when it finally happened, and the students, the fans were chanting Ali, 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 and he gets in there, just him getting in there,
yeah,
the fans, and then scoring his first basket, it was even a louder eruption.
His foul shooting is not too bad.
Will be 124.
No, it's okay, and
67%, is that accurate? Or
yeah, and
I think that's great for a lot of guys. Mitch Robinson would take it.
Yeah, I think too. You saw early on his first couple of times on the court, you could see and I think it's like this probably with any freshman, right? The tentativeness, the nervousness of just not screwing up, and thinking and not reacting. But his last few appearances on the court, you did see it was a little more fluid, and certainly he got some run in the NCAA tournament game against Fairview A&M, because he got a few more minutes there because it was such a blowout, and you could see that he was actually playing with a lot more confidence when he was on the floor late in that game. And was less tentative and was more aggressive going to the basket and crashing the board. So maybe that carries over into his new environment, and I think that's confidence is so important for any player.
The players must have loved him. It would seem that.
Oh yeah. No, he was very popular among his players. They enjoyed his company immensely, and he was we would call it. In the locker room settings, he was a guy that, a lot of the other players would, pat on the shoulder and, just try to keep his head up, keep his confidence up.
Any funny stories that you could think of? I don't want to put you on the spot.
Not really, just the fuselage. And I remember one time.
The fuselage.
I told you before when you had to go on that regional.
I know.
Was watching him duck in and everything. And then there was one time he came into the media room because he lost his car keys or something. He was trying to find his car keys. And he said, "Hey, well, did you ever see my car key?" In his low kind of guttural Andre the Giant voice and stuff. And I was just thinking to the Princess Bride scene where, it's kind of
really? That's a great story.
Which is like, you want the peanut? You want a peanut? And he was, just looking for it. And the poor kid was perplexed. And then my other thought was, what kind of car would he have to have? Like,
that's what I'm thinking.
I never saw the car, so.
I guess he has a sunroof, and that solves everything. But yeah, that's a great story. It's not easy when someone asks you a question like that and puts you on the spot, but you came through. I'd love to cover the Gators too sometime, and you're an excellent host and exactly what I thought you would be. So,
God, any time you want to talk about any other Gator topics, I'm more than welcome.
Yeah, well, go Ollie and go Anteaters.
All right, okay. We'll keep in touch. I'll be tracking. Yes. We'll be tracking his progress, because the one thing you can say about Ollie is whenever you write a story on him, and our company, is big on metrics too. It just blows up. Like, there's just this innate curiosity about him, his popularity in terms of what he's doing. People want to know. So we will be keeping tabs on UC Irvine box scores here in Gainesville, and if he does something notable, I'm sure we'll be doing some stories here and there about it.
Oh, great. Anytime you need information, it seems like I'm vested with the Anteaters now and the fans, and they are super nice on that board. Not all boards are so affable as these guys. So, I have a bunch of new friends from the Anteater board. But great.
Give them my regards.
Yeah, I will. And good luck. You're very lucky to be covering the number one team in the nation. They just moved ahead of everyone else. How do they do that? Where's the money coming from?
They have some good donors here that believe in Scott, and I think, and Todd, excuse me, and Todd is very, Todd's very affable. He's very personable, and he wins. And I think that's a big part of it. People are going to back a winner. And I think that was some of the struggles with the other sport here, football, was that Billy Napier wasn't charismatic and he wasn't winning, and as a result, John Summerall is, certainly going to have to, win some people over in terms of, and he's got a great personality too, very affable. And I think he will, but he's going to have to show it on the field too. And Todd's done both. And because of that, he's getting the support that he needs from certain boosters in the town throughout the state that need it. They're behind him because he's proven that he can build a sustainable winning program. I mean, 2 straight years of being a number one seed, that's never happened in Florida basketball history. And that's a history that includes Billy Donovan. So that tells you something about the level of the coach that Todd Golden is. Now, obviously a disappointing finish round of 32 with Iowa getting upset like that. But you're able to, run it back with pretty much the same group one more time. And they did win the SEC regular season, which was an accomplishment they hadn't done since 2014. So still some significant successes following up a national championship year and proof that they can play sustainable at a high level under him. And as a result, he's getting the support he needs to, bring the players back that he needs to bring to try to contend again next year.
And did you get a chance to meet Tammy Reese? We get along real well. She covers from Rhode Island. She came, and she's bringing in all these great coaches for the women's.
Yeah, and very excited about her. And she is a fellow New Yorker. Actually, she's from Catskills, and I was, born in New York City and raised in, Suffern, New York, and Rockland County.
Me too. Spring Valley.
Spring Valley, how about that?
Yeah, but in tennis, Suffern, they had a great team.
Yeah, and I think the thing about Tammy is she's got the charisma where she's going to go out in the community. Women's basketball has been a tremendously tough sell in small.
Yeah,
for a number of reasons. And I did kind of a deep dive story about it last March, early March. Last in the SEC in attendance. Not much NIL support. The rev share support is below the recommendation as a result. The prior coach was not one that was, she did some appearances here and there, but she wasn't as, an outgoing, charismatic personality that was going to get into the community and drum up support. And Tammy Reese seems like that kind of personality where she's going to do that.
Big personality.
Now, she'll have to get results on the court too, but at least that's a good first step in terms of, wooing the donors and doing the things that you have to do to get the NIL support to get players. I think Tammy has that kind of personality.
She's a winner, though. She'll figure something out. And her personality is a huge personality, and she just loves these kids. This is going to be different for her. But, well, great, Kevin, and we'll stay in touch and Go Ollie.
All right, Scott, if you need me on a podcast again, let me know.
Yes, definitely. You great performance. Really
excellent. Good. Yeah, let me know when it runs, and I'll be sure to share it with
you. Great job, and thanks again for coming.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
And a bit more Canadian with some type of fruits in it. It's great.
This is the rhythm that we rock to. All I gotta do is live my life. I know the way to heaven for sure. Come see me and I can give you a tour. I got the game on lock for sure. I give you now, but I can give you more. All I gotta do is live my life.
I ordered a combo between a crepe and some eggs and sausage and bacon with some potatoes. I'm a little bit hungry, so hopefully I eat it all. When you finish your plate, it's like a trophy. You feel good about it.
I got you. This is the rhythm that we rock to.
Just finished my workout, now I'm recovering here. Volcano and a Hercules. I'm eating a bowl of chicken with rice. I think they're equivalent to the Chipotle, but it's a bit more healthy and a bit more Canadian with some type of fruits in it. It's great.
This is the rhythm that we rock to. All I gotta do is live my